Thank you. Ahead of the FDA's advisory meeting tomorrow on boosters, let's bring in two analysts that are covering the vaccine makers, Louise Chen from Cantor Fitzgerald and Jeff Porges of SVB Leerink. Thank you both for being here with us. Louise, this is a very interesting proposition about the idea of whether or not the boosters will be recommended and if it is recommended to stick with the same brand. Without knowing that, I suppose, what would you generally say the outlook is for Moderna, Pfizer, and J&J if you believe that a booster shot is going to be recommended, and how that impacts the stock price?
Yes, thanks for having me. And sure, I'd be happy to answer that. I cover both J&J and Pfizer, so I'll answer for those two companies. I believe that if a booster is recommended for the broader population, the adult population, then I think it could represent some meaningful upside for Pfizer relative to street expectations, because that really hasn't been put in there yet. And then for J&J, I think it's more of an incremental positive because J&J came in a little bit later and it's been used a lot less than the Pfizer and Moderna vaccines. And I think the other thing to think about here is if the FDA does recommend it, then I think it puts it another step closer to saying that maybe on a seasonal basis, we need to continue to have these COVID vaccines.
Got it. And Jeff, do you cover Moderna?
No, I cover Pfizer, and my colleague covers Moderna.
Okay. But I will ask you the same question. What is the upside, if there is any, for Pfizer, if indeed these booster shots are recommended? And do you think that individuals will end up going with Pfizer if they got it previously?
I think that it depends on the outcome tomorrow. One outcome is that they recommend it just for the over 60 and the immunocompromised. I think that's more or less priced into Pfizer's stock here, into expectations. Another outcome would be that they recommend that the FDA approve it for everybody. I think that's unlikely. And then I agree with Louise. I think there is significant upside for Pfizer's stock. I don't think it's going to retrace all the way to the high 40s where it was a couple of weeks ago, but I do think that there's some upside. On the other hand, if the AdCom leans towards some of the things we've heard from experts and from members of the FDA and says, we don't think the time is right, we think that we need to prioritize vaccinating the unvaccinated, shipping vaccine to the rest of the world, then I think there's downside. You could see Pfizer trade down to the low 40s where it's been earlier in the summer. So there is a fair amount of volatility for Pfizer around this outcome.